Hey guys, John the Morgile here, checking in for a new video for you. Hope you do enjoy it. So first, just wanted to take this opportunity to thank you guys for watching this video. It is bittersweet to see barely 3% of one's subscriber base ever even see the videos that we jovial content creators produce. Not to sound all salty, but the plus side is it ingratiates me to you, the viewer, so thank you for watching. You guys are few and far between for sure. And I should really thank the faithful and awesome Patreon supporters out there. If you guys are among the few who see the vids here, please send me a message on the Patreon page and let me know if you'd like me to host a private hangout with y'all sometime. I really would like to give something back to you, so I'll make it a point to check in on the messages there on Patreon. Okay, so as the woke_AF among us well know, voicing the truth in this world, especially the truth about the world itself, is approximately the fastest way to turn friends to enemies, alienate yourself from the ones that you love, and cause deep divisions within our very families. Those of us who are lucky enough to have friends and family who are of the spirit can testify to the rare wonder of the truth finding root and harmonizing within the home. But our culture is generally evasive to such fairy tale endings, of course. Unfortunately, more often than not, sincerity inflicts damage and division within our inner circles, and hopefully said relationships survive long enough to sport battle scars. Of course, new relationships are forged from the ashes of sincerity ablaze from the conflagration of discernment. Unlike strong personal relationships or the families of normal people, when it comes to new random acquaintances, it's a good idea to keep a lid on the concept of discussing the bizarre and unfortunate truth in all of its glorious forms. For an anecdotal example of this point, I was over at a friend's house a few months ago to watch a football game. My wife was there to watch the game, really to keep me out of trouble, of course, and the host, my next-door neighbor, had a few people over. The conversation throughout the game was not at all geared towards anything _the truth, as the point of the visit was to watch the football game. Only one person in the room was woke_AF, and she happened to be my wife. So towards the end of the game, the conversation somehow arrived at a comment that stopped this rooster in his tracks, stoked up the old cockadoodle doofus in me. If I were some other lame person, I would say I was triggered by the comment. Either that or it was the gangster rap and the peppermint schnapps. Anyway, the gist of it was regarding the often parroted claim that Albert Einstein invented the atom bomb. Cock-a-doodle-doo. So after the entire evening of watching the game and having a good time without mentioning anything sincerely important, I was forced into a position where I had to choose whether to call Major Tom to Captain Bullschlops or keep the zip on the old pie hole. Typically, I'd have kept the mouth shut, but I indeed had a few Guinness Extra Stout that evening. That is to say, there really wasn't a choice involved here. My brain followed the old face, and the dude who made the comment was intently listening with his mouth. So, it was a lively discussion, if you could imagine. I suppose it's important to mention that the dude who made this comment about Einstein inventing the atom bomb was my neighbor's brother, and dude was missing one of his legs. It was an injury from a long time ago. I didn't do it. So anyway, after a few failed attempts to simply tell him that Einstein never really actually patented anything of severe scientific value like the atom bomb, the dude literally jumped out of his wheelchair. Don't ask me how he did it with one leg, and I'm not trying to be offensive, but I never expected a man in his condition to essentially fly out of his chair and in one swift motion grab the super convenient 4-foot-long stainless steel hell of a hefty cane from some sheath. He swung and caught me pretty hard about an inch forward of my temple, grazing the bone which flanks the eye. Totally dumbfounded and truly amazed at the old soldier's effectiveness and agility, it was actually quite beautiful in a strange and painful way. This now could have gone one of two ways. The first way was to shove his face through my neighbor's plate glass table, which would have been messy, although it would have been equally satisfying and, of course, socially unacceptable. I'm pretty sure it's offensive to fight your neighbor's one-legged brother inside his house with like 7 people watching the game. Anyways, I figured it was about time to call it quits on the fourth quarter, and thanks to my wife, she just told me let's go home. We said our goodbyes to the neighbors and his company. Now, this anecdote is a primary example of why we should pick our battles wisely when it comes to fighting the disabled in their fraternal domicile. Pick your battles wisely when it comes to discussing politics, religion, or the generic _truth when an unknown company types. The same pearl of wisdom may indeed apply to one's general clique, inner circle, or even family, depending on one's choice of flock or our randomly allotted family. Ironically enough, during the recent course of refreshing myself on the mountain of bullschloppers that is Einstein's resume, I found myself chuckling about this anecdote that I just told you, as well as the manner in which the newfangled propaganda system is set up to confuse lay/lazy researchers. Take a look at some of these screenshots I grabbed when trying to ascertain exactly how many patents Albert Einstein is responsible for achieving. The first thing to mention is the top result when searching for Einstein Patents comes from a site called arxiv.org, which claims in big bold letters on the top of Google results that Einstein had more than 50 patents in his name. Another site, Quora, Quora.com, claims that Einstein had approximately 50 patents to his name. One document I found when searching for Einstein's patents is a 15-page document called Einstein as an Inventor. And the link will be in the description. Ironically, the web address for this specific piece ends in 666. Lulz. This piece of something shows up among the very top few Google results from this query, even above the infallible source of all truth in the world, Wikipedia. Whomever is responsible for the search engine optimization for arxiv.org is on point, no doubt. But this piece of document sure is misleading, and why would we expect anything less when it comes to Einstein? For example, the page you've been looking at here, with the section titled 3 Einstein's Inventions and Patents, you would think that old Albert Einstein was responsible for these 7 patents with the collaboration of a few dudes, mostly one called Sebastian Kornprobst. He's listed as a collaborator on 4 of the 7 inventions. Now, who really knows how much work Sebastian did, but Einstein's uncle, Jacob Einstein, was the other partner in this collab. So the 15-page document literally titled Albert Einstein as an Inventor, they found the wherewithal to list his Uncle Jacob's inventions first and foremost. If one didn't know any better, they might say there's something fishy about that, but whatever. Just a coincidence that a typical modern quote-unquote researcher might just use this table as evidence of Einstein's prowess as an inventor or co-inventor, but enough said about that. That is, Einstein's uncle's 7 patents or co-patents. Now, where it gets more interesting is the table several pages past that one, which actually lists Albert Einstein's patents, or co-patents, really. So let's go through this chart just a bit. Okay, so the collaborator on the majority of these co-invention of Albert Einstein was a man named Leo Szilard. So, reading through this chart just a bit, you can see that in collaboration with Leo Szilard for the first, let's say, 15 or so of these patents, the first one was in January 1928, awarded patent number FR647838. It was a refrigerating machine with pumping of liquid affected by intermittently increasing vapor pressure. 11/28/1929, FR670428, refrigerating machine, and these are both French patents. That's what the FR stands for in the beginning. So the next patent is in 1928, and the 11/15/1928, and that's GB282428. Again, that would be Great Britain patent and improvements relating to refrigerating apparatus. And then you've got in 1930, GB303065, again Great Britain, electrodynamic movement of fluid metals, particularly for refrigerating machine. Okay. Then you've got another Great Britain 344881 patent, pump especially designed for refrigerating machines. Then you've got a Hungary patent in 1929, that's HU102079, refrigerator. And then a U.S. patent a year later in 1930, US 102079, refrigeration. Not refrigerator, but refrigeration. So didn't really look into all of these patents in detail, but basically it keeps going like this. We've got a AT, which is an Australia patent, 133386, condenser for refrigerator, or as it says in this chart, condenser for refrigeratot. I guess that's the French way to say it, don't know. Then it appears you've got a CH, which I would have said China, but nope, a Switzerland patent in 1930, So we kind of got out of the linear dates on this list here, but it is CH, again, that's Switzerland, 140217 patent number, refrigerator. And then we've got a DE, or a German patent for 1933. And again, these are all collaborated with Leo Szilard, apparatus for movement of fluid metals in refrigerators. So it sounds awfully similar to the GB 303065 electrodynamic movement of fluid metals, particularly for a refrigerator machine. And again, that was a great British patent from 1930. And again, it looks like what they did was just repatent probably the same darn thing in Germany. Okay. And then we've got another German patent for a compressor, German patent for a refrigerator in 1933. And that would be May 30th, right there by my anniversary, 1933. And then another, also in Germany, the same year, 1933, just 3 months later, for refrigerator. Keep going for Germany, electromagnetic appliance for generating oscillatory motion. I'm pretty sure it had to do with refrigerator, right? Doesn't say that, but take a wild guess. And then again in 1933, another German patent for refrigerator. And in 1933, a German patent for pumps, especially for refrigerators. And we've got another, we're going into 1936 here, U.S. patent number 2058562, light intensity self-adjusting camera. Now, notice how we moved away from refrigeration altogether, and of course, so did the collaborator change. It changed from this Leo Szilard, who was collaborator on all those refrigerator inventions with Einstein. This new guy's name is Gustav Bucky. Okay, and again, this I looked into it a bit. It has to do with, this guy Bucky did have some accolades for improving technology for the way X-rays are taken, but the description of the patent here is listed as light intensity self-adjusting camera. And again, this is Einstein and Gustav Bucky. All right, so a couple more. The second to last one is yet another collaborator. So Gustav Bucky and Einstein only worked together on this one thing. That was the US 2058562 patent. But we got Rudolf Goldschmidt, and this is a DE, so a German patent, 590783, electromagnetic sound reproduction apparatus. So basically, Einstein went from refrigerating his butt off to light intensity cameras, electromagnetic sound reproduction apparatus, but, really though, how much did Einstein actually do on these inventions, and how much did Leo Szilard or Gustav Bucky or Rudolf Goldschmidt have to do with this? Now, finally, in 1936, I would say this is the most astonishing patent of Einstein. 10/27/1936, U.S. patent 1017565, design of a blouse. Really, design of a blouse. And I could indeed find this patent on Google, and it doesn't appear that he was working with anybody on this. So Einstein got the patent for this blouse of his own volition. No help, no collaboration. That's the one thing that Einstein invented and patented under his own name only. Okay, so now the last two entries on the chart of Albert Einstein's inventions, or co-inventions really, are certainly something. As you can see, the blouse, it'll be picture number 5 here for the video. Einstein's Blouse patent. Albert Einstein worked with a man named Rudolf Goldschmidt to patent an electromagnetic sound reproduction apparatus, as stated. It's patent number DE 590783 back in 1934. Then, 2 years later, good old Albie patented, drumroll, a blouse. So here's the patent info, US 101756S. I think that's what it says. And an image of the super high-tech and time-space blouse. Right? So it certainly appears that Einstein, and we're talking about Albert, of course, not his uncle Jacob, Einstein co-founded some 18 contraptions pertaining mainly to a refrigerator and a couple to other things that clearly other inventors worked on. And then, of course, the cherry on top, which is the Einstein blouse. Now, let's not forget, several of these are clearly improvements on existing technologies, according to the very patent description. Hardly the work of a genius of our era, such as Nikola Tesla was, apparently. But it appears that Einstein took the same few inventions and patented them in different countries, which certainly appears to pad old Albie's stats just a bit. I suppose we'll never know exactly how much inventing Einstein was actually responsible for when it comes to refrigeration, and how much of the intellectual property was worked out by his co-inventor, Leo Szilard. So let's read this blurb from Wiki's thumbnail when searching for lot lizard, or rather Leo Szilard, sorry. So this is a quote from Wiki. Leo Szilard was a Hungarian-German-American physicist and inventor. He conceived the nuclear chain reaction in 1933, patented the idea of a nuclear fission reactor in 1934, and in late 1939 wrote the letter for Albert Einstein's signature that resulted in the Manhattan Project that built the atomic bomb, end quote, allegedly. So I do think it's a bit funny that this guy, Leo Szilard, went from refrigeration expert extraordinaire to atom bombs. I mean, it's the perfectly logical linear next step from refrigerators to atom bombs, of course. So this is absolutely hilarious as far as I'm concerned, but when we look into this guy, Leo, a bit, the first thing I noticed from his picture is that he appears to be wearing one of Einstein's famous blouses. I could be wrong, but anyways, let's not go there. Staying on point, Leo Szilard was a typical Ivy Leaguer type who wrote his doctoral thesis on something called Maxwell's demon. Now, he did change his name to Szilard from Spitz, which is, I don't know, kind of odd, but whatever. I guess you're allowed to change your name. It's everybody's right. He initially attended a Palatine Joseph Technical University in Budapest, but his engineering studies were interrupted by service in the Austro-Hungarian Army during World War I. He left Hungary for Germany in 1919, enrolling at the Technische Hochschule Institute of Technology in Berlin, Charlottenburg, but became bored with engineering and transferred to Friedrich Wilhelm University, where he studied physics. And I would say that would probably be theoretical physics, but let's not infer anything. Let's just keep on going. So anyway, he wrote his doctoral thesis on something called Maxwell's demon. So get a load of this. According to Wiki, Maxwell's demon is a, quote, long-standing puzzle in the philosophy of thermal and statistical physics. Szilard was the first to recognize the connection between thermodynamics and information theory. End quote from Wiki's thumbnail of this Leo guy, but since the thumbnail was pretty juicy there, let's quote a bit further from Wiki about Leo Szilard. So, Maxwell's demon is a thought experiment created by the physicist James Clerk Maxwell in 1867, in which he suggested how the second law of thermodynamics might hypothetically be violated. In the thought experiment, a demon controls a small door between two chambers of gas. As individual gas molecules approach the door, the demon quickly opens and shuts the door so that only fast molecules are passed into one of the chambers, while only slow molecules are passed into the other. Because the faster molecules, again, molecules I would say are hypothetical bits of things, which probably don't actually exist, but because faster molecules are hotter, the demon's behavior causes one chamber to warm up and the other to cool down, thereby decreasing entropy and violating the second law of thermodynamics. This thought experiment has provoked debate and theoretical work on the relation between thermodynamics and information theory extending to the present day, with a number of scientists arguing that theoretical considerations rule out any practical device violating the second law of thermodynamics in this way. Now, as far as this writer is concerned, such thought experiments belong summarily in the loony bucket, right along with much of Einstein's imaginary science that he's famous for. But it is interesting that this character, whom most people have never heard of, Leo Szilard, has a list of his patents on his wiki page, while Alberto Einstein simply doesn't have such a list on his wiki page, as far as I can tell. Now, this could be a minor oversight on my part, maybe I didn't find it, or it could just be a major oversight from everyone in the world who's interested in Einstein and writes wiki articles. I mean, it's not like the buck stopper at Wiki would intentionally omit Einstein's lackluster list of patents, or co-patents, really. To obscure the fact that he really didn't invent Jack Diddley? Certainly nothing of much scientific importance. Certainly no atom bomb. But I would even venture to guess that Einstein invented exactly nothing and used his father's manufacturing infrastructure to fast-track the inventions of others to something profitable in as many different countries as possible. I will say that the toppest Google search results for Einstein's patents yield inflated boasts of 50 patents, which appear to be the same 4 or 5 items pertaining to refrigerators being patented in several countries. But again, the list of detailed patents that attributed to Einstein contained exactly 19 items, including one Einsteinian blouse. So Einstein capped off his 17 other patents, or co-patents, with the grand finale of 2 patents awarded in the very same day. Not exactly sure when Einstein and his collaborator on exactly one single patent, Gustav Bucky again, submitted the patent application for US 2058562, or the light intensity self-adjusting camera. Although the patent was awarded on October 27th, 1936, just like Einstein's Blouse patent was awarded on the very same day. What are the odds of that? I don't know. So when you research the mainstream sources regarding Gustav Bucky, the co-inventor of this camera apparatus, you find some interesting information, including the following from Wiki. Quote, early life and career of this Bucky, Gustav Bucky. Bucky made a presentation to the German Röntgen Society about his new invention, and he secured patents in both the U.S. and in Germany. Bucky came to the United States in 1923, and he was the 7th physician granted an honorary New York State medical license without even being required to take the licensure examination. However, after World War I, forfeiture laws affected citizens of the Central Powers and caused Bucky to lose the rights to his patent, so he missed out on any earnings that he could have received for his invention of the Bucky diaphragm. I will mention quickly that the Central Powers were basically the equivalent to the Axis powers, like, the Nazis and the Japanese during World War I. So he was basically on the losing side of World War I. He was drafted or conscripted into the military, whatever, but it is interesting. At any rate, an American radiologist, this is continuing with the quote from Wiki, American radiologist Hollis E. Potter modified the grids from Bucky's invention, making them movable so that the lines did not show up on the X-ray image. There was some kind of issues with the invention that he had. But anyway, it's not like he invented the X-ray. He just sort of kind of improved upon it. Now, in his later career, this is still from Wiki, in 1929, Bucky took a position in Germany as the radiology department head at Rudolf Virchow Hospital. Returning to the U.S. in 1933 for political reasons, surely, he became close friends with Albert Einstein in the course of providing medical treatment to Einstein's wife, Elsa. Einstein also moved from Germany to the United States not long before that. Bucky tried to recoup some of his financial losses by patenting modifications of existing imaging technologies, and he was often sued. Let me say that again. Bucky was often sued for patent infringement, and the normally private Einstein used his so-called patent expertise to help Bucky out of these situations when it comes to patent infringement. So, end of quote briefly there, but I have a nickname for Bucky, and I'm not going to utter it here. Just use your imagination. There's children watching, but it rhymes with Bucky. Personal life, Bucky died in 1963, and he was survived by his wife, Frida, and 2 children. In 1967, Bucky's widow decided to auction off a collection of letters from Einstein to Gustav Bucky. One of Bucky's children, Peter A. Bucky, was preparing to write a memoir about the family's relationship with Einstein, and he tried to buy the letters from his own mother, but the collection sold for more than $35,000, and Bucky's son was outbid by some unknown bidder. So I wonder what was in those letters that was so valuable where in 1963 someone paid $35,000 for them. Adjusted for inflation, this would be equivalent to just shy of $300,000. Not exactly chump change. So who was this extremely rich person who prevented Bucky Farantarant's son from acquiring the correspondences between his father and Einstein? From his own father's estate, from his own mother. If any of you sleuths out there are able to find out exactly who bought this collection of letters and what the heck happened to them and really what was in the letters, it would be a large piece of this bizarre puzzle which I just can't seem to find. Maybe we never will, but there is always hope. At any rate, the excerpts I just read from Wiki regarding Bucky entail a bit of contradiction. If you remember like 30 seconds ago, the Wiki article claimed that Einstein typically helped Bucky out of sticky situations when it came to patent infringement litigation. I wonder if Einstein's 7 years at patent office had anything to do with this. Anyways, so it is established, according to Wiki, this isn't my claim, it is established that this was something that had happened before in terms of Bucky getting in trouble with patent infringement, although that is an inference from Wiki, not a claim of my own. Then, if you remember 10 seconds after that, the very same Wiki article states that Bucky lost his one single patent for the X-ray camera imaging improvement, for he was a citizen of the Central Powers. Therefore, after the war, his rights to any dividends essentially evaporated. So it seems by a leap of inference that Bucky had been in the hot seat when it comes to stealing others' inventions, and his good buddy Einstein, world-renowned blouse patenter, was in the habit of bailing him out. Now, I must say, this is an entirely new side of Einstein, which most people never consider. Was he actually the genius inventor described by the propaganda machine of the world? Was he the infallible, never wrong, crack-shot hypotheticalist / imaginary scientist du jour, as reported by virtually all mainstream sources? Or was he more of a genius when it came to making perpetual money from the intellectual property of others who may or may not have been exactly thrilled to give Einstein credit for their invention? Or perhaps the inventions they potentially stole from patent submissions of unsuspecting actual geniuses? That is merely a theory, although if one cares to humor the hypothesis, it's really not a huge leap to classify Einstein as a master showman at best, or a master despot and swindler at worst. Either way, a few things are absolutely clear. The toppish results of Google searches for Einstein patents yields bald-faced lies, including the claim that Einstein has over 50 different patents listed to his name. Now, perhaps he has dozens of patents in other countries, but it seems like the bulk of Einstein's inventions were revolving around this refrigerator. And again, it is actually 19 patents, according to the document that I linked in the description. One of which was a mother-loving blouse, of course. And he went out with a bang by receiving the co-patent award on the exact same day as Mr. Bucky's co-invention was awarded for said imaging device improvement. At some point, Einstein went from patenting improvements to refrigerators, which he may or may not have lifted a proverbial finger to invent, then on to making blouses in 1936, and then, of course, inventing the atom bomb shortly thereafter. Most of these patents were about 20 years after Einstein published his imaginary alliance theory regarding general relativity. To this very day, over 100 years later, the world is still enamored by the mere mention of Einstein's name. His persona is certainly one of the smartest scientists who ever scienced, although in reality it appears that he may have been a piggybacking blouse maker specializing in patent infringement and related litigation for his cronies, among other things, as there appears to be a thread leading towards Einstein being a pioneer in the transpocalypse, although that is speculative and beyond the scope of this video. Suffice to say, this image shows ye olden Alberto donning what appears to be women's shoes. At any rate, I suppose we should mention quickly that nuclear bombs simply do not exist, except in the minds of the herd who've been convinced since they were children that such a thing is super real. And their proof? Well, they saw it on TV. The videos of trick photography using really every trick in the book, literally everything from scale model explosions to actually igniting some thousands of tons of TNT in one place to create a very convincing illusion of a so-called atom bomb. That is to say, the military seems to have gone to great lengths to convince the world of mad or mutually assured destruction. If we get into a so-called nuclear bomb fight with Russia, of course, it isn't really necessary to create a nuclear bomb in any sense other than imaginarily, so long as you can convince the entire world that you can indeed destroy entire cities with a single bomb. The psychological effects give the lying nations a spider's count of legs up on any country not in the nuke club. Russia and the US have been playing the old wrestler game, fight on stage, have drinks and jalapeno poppers afterwards. It's no secret that Russia and the United States are thick as thieves when it came to World War II. Of course, when it comes to everything fake space and Ball Earth Alliance, the relationship is practically incestual, just as it is when it comes to beating their mad nuke drum, drilling children with intense fear porn and propaganda deluxe for decades. The subconsciously ingrained idea that everyone could die a fiery death at any second creates a subliminal cultural mindset of, well, essentially YOLO, or the mentality that you only live once, so basically do what thou wilt. It also grossly empowers the government to the average person's gracious content, for how do our petty problems with paying rent, finding love in our lives, and feeding our families stack up against something as important as preventing total annihilation of the world on a daily basis? If we can trust the government to prevent a nuclear holocaust, surely we can trust them to keep us safe from things like the cerveza bug or our pesky God-given rights. So, to my former neighbor's highly respected and amazingly agile one-legged brother, Albert Einstein did invent something of scientific value. Certainly no atom bomb, but several flavors of refrigerator, and of course the crown jewel of his repertoire, the Einsteins Blouse. The equation which he's most famous for, E equals mc hammer, E equals mc squared, of course, is a beautiful example of imaginary scientism at its very worst. If you break down said equation, it essentially means this. Energy is equal to a given mass accelerated at the speed of light squared. Now, this is a wildly interesting and entrancing theory, apparently. However, when it comes to practically testing the hypothesis that lies behind the equation, much like the Maxwell's demon at the door of lunacy, our measly human vessels fall utterly short of anything resembling an application of the scientific method. And I wonder if we can get Nathan Oakley to just scold the crap out of Einstein and his buddy Bucky Farantarant. What is a thought experiment exactly? Where are your independent variables? Dependent variables? Repeatable observations? Demonstrability? The day that a person can accelerate some object at the speed of light squared, allegedly about 300 million meters per second squared, is the day that I eat 10 quadrillion hats without a water break. Hopefully this little adventure into the hilarious lunacy surrounding the mainstream narrative related to Albert Einstein has been enjoyable and enlightening insofar. Please feel free to argue against the points raised in this video. Although colorful insults really don't advance the discussion much, it is interesting to see just how many people kick off their science with some good old-fashioned smack-talking. So this wraps up the video, and so again I'd like to quickly thank our channel patrons and supporters. As you all know, we're living in perilous and strange times indeed, so your support is a blessing, and my family and I can't thank you enough. If you'd like to help support the channel here, consider supporting through Patreon, PayPal, or Venmo. Links in the description box below. If this work has been helpful or enjoyable or something of value to you, feel free to contribute whatever you think it's worth, if it's within your means. The information I gather in my research is shared with you freely, as it is against natural law to charge money for the truth. If you do wish to contribute to our effort here, your help is welcomed and greatly needed. Once again, I hope you've enjoyed the video today. Cheers, many thanks, and God bless. Love you guys. See you in the next one. Bye.